name's class. For your science lesson today, the learning objective is, can I recognise that changes to an environment can be dangerous to living things, and can I begin to understand what can be done to reverse some of the changes? By the end of the lesson, you will explore what the impact of some environmental changes are, both positive and negative. You will look at the potential impact of deforestation. You will understand what we can do to help minimize the impact of climate change. Minimize means to make it smaller. And you will understand some of the changes that's caused the number of some living things to decline or go down. Today, we are going to discuss 5 different changes to environments, and they are deforestation, urbanisation, global warming, otherwise known as climate change, intensive farming, and nature reserves. We are also going to be looking at the impacts of these changes. So the first change is deforestation. Forests are amazing and they support so many living things. Now we're going to click on this link, which will be available to you in the blurb. So just below the video, if you have a look at the blurb, you will see this link. Click on it to see how much the forest cover in Borneo has changed. Now, what this means is deforestation has contributed to India's deadly mudslide, experts say. When something has contributed to something else, that means that deforestation has made India's mudslide even deadlier. And deforestation means that you're cutting trees down. Now, Medha Patkar, who's an environmental activist, so she works with making sure that the environment is as safe as possible and we're looking after the environment as much as we can. She helps us to think up of ways to make the environment an even better place. Medha says, deforestation leads to land erosion, which leads to landslides. So the fact that we're cutting trees, that's making the land around us worse. Palm oil plantation in an area that was once a forest. So here is a picture of a place that was once just a forest, so with beautiful green trees and lots of wildlife, and now it's become a plantation, which is a place where people are growing different crops, especially or specifically palm oil. And palm oil is known to be not very healthy when you consume it, when you're taking it into your body, so it's a bit of a shame. What can we do? We can look for products that no longer use palm oil. So you have this packet, well not packets, but a jar of peanut butter, and you can see on the front of it, it says that it's palm oil free. So you could buy products that don't have palm oil in them. You can also choose recycled or certified sustainable wood products. So they're using wood to make their products in a way that makes sure that we have more wood available and we're not having to cut down lots and lots of trees in order to have wood-made products. So that's a really nice way. They're using recycled wood. The second change is urbanisation. Urbanisation means that there are more and more people living in built-up urban areas rather than in rural areas. This means that more houses and roads are being built on land that was once untouched. So land that once had nothing on top of it now has lots and lots of houses there. So what's happened? When we build another road or housing estate, pave our back garden or make a driveway, we are taking away food sources from a hedgehog's environment because worms, slugs, and snails don't live on roads. So in today's day and age, we have so many roads around us. We're very lucky to be able to get around as easily as we do. But building a road means that we've then taken away a hedgehog's natural environment, and we've taken away a big food source of the hedgehog. We don't really think about that, do we? It is thought that their numbers of hedgehogs have declined from about 30 million in the 1950s to about 1.5 million now. So in the 1950s, which was about 80 years ago, 70 years ago, the hedgehogs have gone down in number. In 1950, so 70 years ago, we used to have 30 million, around that number. Now we have about 1.5 million. That is basically a drop of about 28 million. So where have they all gone in that space of time? They've definitely suffered because their houses and their environments have been taken away from them. So they most probably died. Hedgehogs are nocturnal and they can travel between 1 and 2 miles at night for foraging for food. So nocturnal means that they stay up at night and they stay asleep during the day. When we put fences between each garden, we cut off their chance to move around and look for food or find a mate. So if you have a look at your back garden right now, if you live in a house that has fences on both sides, that fence is making hedgehogs again not get access to food as quickly as they originally did. Obviously, in England, we have to have fences. If we didn't have fences, then we wouldn't have gardens. We wouldn't have our own gardens and our own private space. So fences are important, but it's just a little fact to think about the next time you look at your fence. That is something that can come. That's a negative effect of it, a negative impact, especially on hedgehogs. What can we do? I would like for you to watch this clip. Again, it will be available in the blurb, to find out some ways that we could help hedgehogs. One thing that you could do is to put out some food for them, leave an area in your garden for them to forage in. You can talk to your neighbours about making a hedgehog highway between all of your gardens, so making a little path for them to go through in order to get their food. And little acts of kindness towards hedgehogs can really go a long way for them. The third change is global warming. So the world is getting warmer because we are burning more fossil fuels. The carbon dioxide this produces, or this makes, is a greenhouse gas. This means that when it is in our atmosphere, it acts like a greenhouse to warm up the world. Now, last lesson, you will have seen me do an experiment on to talk to you and to show you global warming. Using 2 thermometers and a container to cover one of them up. And you'll have seen that the thermometer that was covered up got warmer a lot quicker. That is basically our world right now. Because we are producing a lot of toxic gases, those toxic gases are known as greenhouse gases, and they are making our world like a greenhouse. It's warming up our world a lot quicker than the world used to get warmed up in the past. What is the impact of this? Now remember, impact means what is the effect of global warming to our environment, or on our environment. Glaciers and sea ice are shrinking. They're getting smaller, and this is causing sea levels to rise. So glaciers or sea ice, that's basically ice, it's frozen water, that's now melting, it's getting smaller. So when ice melts, if you ever have a cold drink and your ice melts, you can see that it becomes liquid, and that liquid adds to the drink that you have. That's why it makes your drink a lot more watered down and not as tasty. Exactly the same thing is happening in these cold areas like in the Arctic, where they're melting, and then the ice, the liquid that makes the ice, is now adding to the rest of the water, and that's causing sea levels to get bigger and bigger. Now, if this continues, if this carries on, there could be flooding in areas near the coast. Polar bears that hunt from the sea ice, less sea ice means that a smaller area for hunting for them. Polar bears hunt from the sea ice. Less sea ice then means they have a smaller area to hunt, and that would obviously not be very good for polar bears who get all of their food from hunting. If they're not able to hunt as easily, they won't be able to get their food as quickly and as easily either. Some scientists think that global warming will also cause more extreme weather, such as hurricanes, drought, that means that there's no water left, and flooding in different areas. What can we do? We can make some small changes. For example, we can keep an eye on our food miles. So the transportation of food burns a lot of fossil fuels, and we do not want to be burning fossil fuels. They are it's a bad way of making things happen. So if possible, you can buy local seasonal produce. So unfortunately, strawberries don't naturally grow in December. So if you do want strawberries, you would have to get them elsewhere. But you could just go to your local shop. That way you're able to walk rather than go by car. You're burning less fossil fuels that way. And if you're buying from local supermarkets, then that means that it's easily gotten to that supermarket in the first place because it's local. So even those workers haven't traveled too far to get to you to get to the shop where they sell their food. You can make fewer car journeys, so walk if you can, use public transport. Buses and trains are great. Obviously, nowadays you do have to be very, very careful with social distancing, but it's just food for thought again. You could use your bicycle rather than your car. I know that I have a couple of you who don't mind cycling, so you can do that a little bit more. Number 4, the fourth change is intensive farming. Farming is getting more and more intense as the demand for food by a growing population increases. What is the impact? Hedges are being removed to make fields larger. Hedges are like huge bushes, basically. Wildflowers are much more abundant before the changes to the environment. So that means that before this happened, wildflowers were seen a lot more than they are today. What can we do? We can plant some more wildflowers anywhere you can and encourage others to do the same. The fifth and final change is known as nature reserves. So, are humans making any positive changes to the environment? We've had such negative changes so far. The answer is yes, we are. What is the impact of this? The areas that we are changing are being allowed to flourish once again. So when we manage an area by protecting native species, so if you remember in one of our lessons, we were looking at whether or not we wanted to create a playground area on this wildlife reserve, or if we wanted to keep it the same. Well, now we're trying our best to keep these areas the same. And by doing that, we're protecting the species, the living things that are living inside of that area. We're stopping pollution, we're encouraging growth. So we're wanting living things to carry on living, we're wanting flowers to carry on growing, we're stopping pollution, and we're stopping invasive species. That way, the living things in that area can thrive. They can really grow and continue to live. So what can we do? You can help nature reserves by volunteering or picking up litter. I know one of you did pick up litter in a lake that was local to you, and it was amazing to see. You can learn about what they are doing, you can tell others, you can respect the area and the signs. Get a bit muddy, encourage others to work with you to protect your own little space. What is happening in your garden? What's happening in your park and the local allotment that you might have around you? Is there anything that you could do to help? Always start small. Start in your local area before you think about going too far, because that way you're able to do it in a more manageable way. Your 3 challenges then are as follows. Challenge number 1. You're going to design an information poster about one change. You're going to tell people about the change and what they can do to help. Number 2, you're going to explain your poster, either on video or to your peers in the classroom. And then challenge number 3, what could you do in your local area to help your environment if any change was to happen? And for an extra challenge, I would love to see some of you maybe doing or showing me some of the changes. The one that I think of instantly is the wildflowers. Maybe you could plant some wildflowers around you, just to make sure that we are encouraging them to be growing as much as we possibly can. So here are your challenges for your science lesson today, Williams class. Enjoy. I hope you had fun learning about the different changes that we have in the world around us, and I will see you very, very soon.